Welcome, One Crack News. Let's get into it. Now, I know because I live in the state of Illinois. In case anybody want to ask the questions, how do I know, blah, 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 you don't smoke, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to smoke to understand business and numbers and know the difference between the high and the lows. You see, Illinois is one of the places that was the booming center for these dispensaries for weed, and everybody think it's the new lick. It's the new come up, right? See, Illinois pot sales, they start falling quicker since once they hit a record peak back in December. December 2021, this was at an all-time high in record. They was raising concerns that the consumers are being pushed into go into that market, right? They want drug dealers to get legal. They want to tax you now. They want to tax the drugs. But they've been falling, all the sales, since all this dispensary unloaded they record high. They did what, 137 million in Illinois with all these grow shops and all their products back in December. So this was like a booming business. Remember the TV show Weeds? Where they basically had a town and a woman had lost her job. There's places where this towns, and like if you look at Youngstown, like it's reason why it's like a ghost town now, is because the steel mills normally facilitated the jobs for people to live in those towns. Now that the revenue is gone in those towns collapse. And this was happening around the world. Now, Weeds was about this white lady lose her job. She started selling weed to pay all her bills and everything else. So they make it real fun and cool when you're white. You black, you doing it. You just a low down, dirty criminal. That's just the way they look at things. Now, when you look at the bigger scale of it, you got recreational weed products since December. They've been raising like sky high, like all these prices been skyrocketing. And everybody's going to be pushing the consumers to go back to the streets. You see, and that's how the streets are going to win. Because they're like, man, this is going to drive everybody to the street. No, you're going to push people back to the streets. When the prices are too high, they're going to go to the streets. Because the streets going to have to lower their price. That's how it works. See, people look like this, right? Not everybody can afford that super expensive weed. But you're going to make your money off that. The greater the yield, the greater the high, the greater the yield, rather. So you're going to make money on that for having that A-plus product, but you still need the generics on the street. See, this is what affected Gucci back in the day. See, Gucci in the white fashion world was losing it. They were looked at as old school, like they're not modern. And they lost a lot of their bottom line because, of course, I watch House of Gucci, but I've learned about the Gucci family watching the history of the Guccis before that movie even came out, which really did a travesty of a job covering what all need to be covered. Gucci made money off the bootlegs. The bootleg products that they were selling to people who couldn't afford Gucci. Well, Gucci made a change to crack down on all bootlegs and just focus on rich, high-end, quality stuff, which was a mistake because they lost millions. Then you lost your identity because people couldn't get Gucci. They just went to something else. And then that something else became the new thing and not Gucci. And Gucci was losing, not only they losing millions and millions of dollars, Now they lose an appeal because their luxury stuff that they were selling it to for those who could afford to buy it wasn't worried about it no more. They have become the past. They have become old, which you don't want to be looked at in this business. Now, the way that's going, you look at this business. See, all these, they got what? Illinois got about over 100 licensed like pot shops, right? They tally about 117 million in sales in January. But they went under 114 million in February. And then in March, that just passed, they went under what? Like 110? So it's dropping. Why isn't it increasing? Now the program is working. These recreational pot programs, what they call them, they generate about $2 billion in sales in its first 2 years. And even though they dipping, they still are seeing high numbers. So the state's not going to care. But for you trying to go into business and you're looking at, okay, this is the way to go, there's a lot of pitfalls in this business. People just like, oh, it's weed. I'm going to get me a dispensary and I'm just going to run out there and just sell weed. I sold weed, so I know exactly how to sell weed. But now you're selling it at a different scale. This is a professional rate now. So now you got to play that ball game. See, there's going to be lawsuits now. Whenever it's legal, lawsuits are sure to follow. See, the licensing process that gives people new like permits and stuff like that's for so-called social equality applicants and all of these different things, diversity. All of these things are going to come up your pipe. So you're going to have a weed consultant, somebody who's an expert in dealing with this industry as far as the law. So they're going to say, right now in the market, there's still some ability to grow, but the laws are in place that's going to prohibit these things. Certain places like Illinois, they tell you what brand you can sell. Even though a brand might be hot, you don't choose unless you own the dispensary, meaning that you're not part of a conglomerate or a brand. Because if it's yours and yours outright, yeah, it's more expensive for you. You got to pay a lot of the costs. But you get to control what strands and everything else that you want to grow, you want to build, and go from there. So you got to look at that. Then you got to look at the taxes. So you look at, oh, I'm sorry about that. A little tired. It's late at night, which is early in the morning for y'all. The states are seeing more like sales, like increases, but an eighth of you get an eighth, that's still like selling some for like 80 after taxes. That's bringing down prices, like ultimately. So you want to get out of the way, allowing competitiveness. Until then, the state, and the way the Cook County judge is ordered to hold up the insurance on about 185 dispensary licenses. So right now, that's like the limit right now. That's going to be insured. The insurance is what's going to really cost you, because you're going to have to prepare for all of these different situations to happen. Out here in Waukegan, we saw somebody lose their dispensary because they were selling a brand that was not on the list to be sold there, but it was a very popular brand. And that was against the code or whatever. So they took the whole dispensary down. Did a raid, actually. So, very unnecessary. But since it was black people that owned it, they got to make an example, right? Show of force. So, you get the social equality people that want to get involved in this, and because they want a piece of the action. And they're going to use social equality as the main driving force. So you look at people that want to brand together, they want to advocate people to move forward and start talking about color and all of this stuff, and you're going to hear all of this because they want to check. And he was like, look, we can't be cut out here. We need more leniency towards the blacks. Blacks got to have it. That's what we need here. Black, 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 black. Well, what you're going to see is they just want a bag. That's all. You got the whole pot industry missing out on like $1 billion because they don't want to, what they would say, diversify. They want to stay within the brands that they have. And whatever's hot on the streets, they just like, look, we're not going down that road. They like, look, we missing out on billions of revenue. And if you're a dealer, having what's hot is what's popping. That's what keeps you afloat. And if you ain't got what's hot on the street, they're going to go to somebody that got it. What makes you look inefficient. Now you're looking at all these deliveries, right? And all these barriers that's out there that's looking to work in the industry and expand the capacity and all that stuff for the weed growers. But you look at all the rules they put in place for all the public consumption. You can't get to what you want. Then what you want, if you go there, it's out. And there's so many people that want to get in this industry of color, and they are waiting on the sideline. Right? Why is that? Because they have to approve your application. So J.B. Pritzker, the governor, has to approve it. And they said, oh, well, we're going to get 55 more pot shop licenses. We just got to wait. What are you waiting on? The election? See, under the new rules, they will be the applicants. They'll be allowed to apply. You can do it online for the not $300, but a $250 fee to the office, and then it can't be included on more than one, entry or whatever. They got lottery spots across like 17 different regions and all that stuff. But the licenses are designed, so they have the locations on where you can build it. They tell you where you can put it. You have to go to an allotted places that they have, and it's structured. So the state really controls all of this, and your free will is not really there, and it's not a lot of people that's going to actually get allowed to have that license, let alone be able to expand and become multimillionaires with these dispensaries. So I'm just saying, look and weigh the pros and cons before you go to jumping down that, all right, let's get it. Weed dispensary. That's it. That's the money. Let's go. Got to think about it. Have to maintain what you're doing, or you can be at a loss, a major loss, when this is all said and done. So I'm going to get out of here. Just wanted to drop that on you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to One Crack News, Carcino for Life, Kwame Brown Bust Life, and I'm out.